Hey, and welcome back. This is sort of an impromptu video or episode. I wanted to tell you about an issue I'm having with precision sales. Honestly, uh, if you're thinking about using them, I would say proceed with caution, and I'm going to go through why. So, back in right after Thanksgiving, or it may have been Thanksgiving, I forget, but I put in a quote, or put in for a quote online to order a new jib for Kiriko, and really promptly I got a quote back from them. We set up a call. We talked about the sale a little bit, everything, and pricing and stuff, and felt they were a little expensive, but they seemed nice, and a couple other sailing channels like the guys in Delos, I believe MJ Sailing, Sailing Solianis, and even learning the lines. I think they had pretty good experiences with them, and so I figured, well, I'll give them a try. They're a little pricey, and they are a bit far away, but I'll give it a shot. So, uh, given them the first installment, then crickets. I take that back. They had asked for some information on the sale, the previous sale, and some measurements. I sent all that. They were fairly responsive at that point. I was sending them information back and forth, but that didn't take long, maybe a week or two. I'd gotten them everything I could. Obviously I had to drive down the boat, which is 2 hours away, to get the specific things and measure my old sail, which I was able to do outside. But yeah, after that, then came this radio silence. I forget when it was. Now keep in mind, this was Thanksgiving. Right after Thanksgiving, this whole thing started. After that, I believe it was probably about January, I reached out to them saying, hey, I haven't heard anything in a while. How are we doing? And they're like, no, everything's great. You'll hear from a designer, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, everything's good. We're on target for the end of March. And so I was like, okay. I think February rolls around. I probably called again asking for an update. And eventually, I think it was in February, someone did reach out, a designer. Reached out by email, and the biggest concern was the cost of this umbrella. That kind of surprised me, this umbrella sun cover. I asked for a color called Storm to match the new sail covers and bimini I've been making, and they said, "Oh, it's going to be $130," and I called or emailed back saying, "Wait, $130? That's what the sun cover costs if you're using Sunbrella." And they told me, "No, it's an additional $130," and I was like, "Why?" And the reason they gave me is because they have to ship it. And my reasoning was, well, you still have to ship Sunbrella. This one doesn't. This color doesn't cost any more than any other color, or the regular colors. So you'd still have to, get Sunbrella either way. So we worked that out. There was one or two questions about the sale. They tried to upsell me on some stuff, which they already tried to upsell me before, and I did pay for some extra features. And then nothing for a while. Nothing. And finally I started calling, and I called 3 weeks in a row, and finally I said, can somebody call me back? Because now we're getting into March. I think it was the beginning of March. Was the third week, and or maybe the second week of March, actually, and it was right near my birthday. And that was the third week in a row I called to talk to someone, because I was really concerned about getting the sale when I asked, to have it delivered and everything, and just the fact that I really hadn't gotten any feedback. And turns out there was an issue with the designer that I was working with, and that's all well and good, but generally, I do understand things happen, but you have contingency plans, just like anywhere else. When you're working on a project, I consider building a sail like a project. There's steps involved, and if one person can't work on it, move it on to the next person. But it seems like my sail got lost in the shuffle, or just got lost, and So I worked with the second designer, finally approved the, I went through everything and I figured, okay, this is okay. I didn't really know that much about the sale, though. I didn't get that much information on it. But second week of March or so, I gave them the okay, like, okay, this is good. And I said, what's happening with the billing? And it turns out, so they have, it's paid in 3 installments. Well, unbeknownst to me, they were just charging my credit card every time without sending an email or anything else. I didn't realize they were doing that. I would at least like some notification. Now, also keep in mind, every time they charge my card, since I'm in the U.S. and they're not, I got an international fee. So here we go. We're in March. I'm finally approving the sale, and I said, what about the billing? And he goes, oh, you're all paid up. I said, wait a second. How could I have paid up? How can I be paid up for a sale that I didn't even approve yet? What if there were design changes or any changes? He goes, I don't know. I said, really, this is something you shouldn't have charged me until the design was finalized, at least the last payment. So I thought that was really weird. Now, keep in mind, end of March, so I was hoping to get it by about the 29th, which was the last week or last Friday of March. March 22nd, I get an email, which was a Friday, saying my design has been finalized. That's kind of weird, considering I approved it the week or so before. And up till, when I talked to the designer last time, he said, yeah, we're good. We're going to make the end of March. Okay, all right. So I start calling that week, the last week of March, and it took me a while to get somebody to find out what was going on and call me back. And they finally said, oh yeah, you're not going to get it. It's going to be a while. So now we're looking at end of April. I believe April 22nd is the earliest. And meanwhile, it's April 5th today. I was supposed to have the sale last week, basically, or very early this week. My boat's already in the water. I'm going down this weekend to bend on the other 2 sails, and I guess I'm putting my old jib that is blown to hell back on the boat, so I can use the boat for a couple weeks. And it's kind of a pain in the ass, pardon the language, to put the jib up on my boat. So anyway, yeah, so now it turns out, again, phone calls and emails were promised. I kept having to call them because they were going to call the production people and find out what was going on with the sale. And they tell me that, it needs to be built. And then after not hearing from them, I call again. And then it turns out that the sale is built. But they're waiting on this umbrella. And apparently it takes 3 weeks to ship this umbrella to China, which is sort of mind-boggling because either something's inefficient on our end or overseas they really have their system down tight, because I've ordered stuff from China and I've had it here faster than ordering stuff from California, and I'm on the East Coast. So yeah, so needless to say, I'm unhappy. This is a significant cost for me. You might say, well, first world problems. True. And also you may say, well, you own a big boat, things are expensive. And I understand that as well. And I had this budgeted out, but it's still a pretty big expense for someone on a budget. And, granted, sales are probably the most significant costs on a boat other than a repower or maybe some really intensive electronics, say like a radar. But yeah, it was, it's very frustrating to shell out all this money, which they already have, and I have nothing in return. They blew the promised delivery date. They had December, January, February, and March to get this done, and every step of the way they just completely dropped the ball. Really, if you're going to use those guys, think twice, look at a local loft. First off, Precision didn't seem that inexpensive. I think I probably could have gotten a better deal locally. Secondly, you have to factor in the shipping, which is significant. Also, if your bank is like mine, you will be charged international fees, which adds up. So I probably could have saved 15% or maybe even 20%. And it could have been somewhere I could have driven to and talked to someone and gone over the design, or even dropped off my old sale, or they could have come to the boat and looked at it, and come to the boat and when the sale is completed, and make sure everything fits properly. So yeah, totally disappointed. I just hope this sale comes and it's amazing, because I don't know what I'm going to do if it's messed up, or if something's not quite right about it. Yeah, just use a local loft. That's my recommendation. And ask around the marina, ask your friends, find out who's gotten some decent sales and great customer service before going to someone who's far away, obviously in a different country. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Radio silence again, since they told me that they were waiting for this umbrella to be shipped out. And I'll give an update once I hear back from them, which I don't expect to hear anything. The other thing is, to save time, they're going to ship the sale directly to me, which I'm assuming they probably ship it to them, to their place out in Vancouver, British Columbia, and maybe QC it. So again, I don't know what I'm going to get. So again, tread lightly with these guys. Do your homework, and I hope this video helps someone out and they don't have the same problem that I did, because frankly I'm quite unhappy. And it's other than we're sorry we dropped the ball, we're sorry we dropped the ball, there's been no other action taken to help. So anyway, thanks for watching. Again, if you like what I do, please subscribe. Please look us up on Patreon or Instagram as well.